Hey everybody, welcome back to our channel. Today we're going to be talking about cap rates and ROI and all of those other things that sound really super scary, but they're basic, I promise. And you're going to need to be able to explain all of this stuff in detail to investors, so stick around. All right, first off, your cap rate. It's basically like a speedometer for your investment property. It tells you how fast your money is working for you before factoring in things like financing. You know, mortgages, okay, that's your financing. All right, here's the formula. Net operating income, or NOI, divide by purchase price. That's it. That simple, okay? NOI is just your rent minus your operating expenses. No, we're not talking your mortgage. We're talking your insurance, your taxes, your maintenance, and your management fees. Not your mortgage. But why? We'll get into that. Let's go ahead and use an example. Let's say you buy a duplex for $250,000, and after paying your property taxes, your insurance, and your maintenance, and of course, your management, you're left with $20,000 NOI per year. Okay, cool. $20,000 divide by $250,000 equals 8% cap rate. Okay, that's awesome. That means that if you paid all cash, you're making back 8% per year. That's not bad. A higher cap rate equals higher return, but that usually also means higher risk. So maybe a property in a less desirable location, an older property that might have more ability for or requirements for updating and maintenance and stuff like that. Lower cap rate normally equals safer, more stable investment, like a prime location, brand new construction, that kind of thing. Got it? All right, so let's talk ROI, return on investment. This is another huge thing that you're going to need to be able to explain. It's more like your report card. It tells you how much money you actually made compared to what you put in, including financing. This time you include your financing. It's very important. All right, so here's the formula. Profit divided by cash invested times 100. Simple, right? All right. Let's use that same duplex. It cost $250,000, but you only put down $50,000, and then you finance the other $200,000. Okay, cool. After your expenses and your mortgage payments, you pocket $7,000 cash flow for the year. Okay, $7,000 divided by your initial investment of $50,000 equals 14% ROI. So even though the cap rate is 8%, your ROI is 14% because you used leverage. That's other people's money, the bank's money in this example, okay? All right, let's go ahead and break it down even more. Are you lost yet? Hopefully I didn't lose you. All right, cap rate, that equals how good the property itself is as an investment. That's why you don't put your mortgage in there. We're gonna say this is for the property itself in an all cash scenario. Okay, ROI is how good the deal is for you specifically once you factor in financing and your own personal wealth building strategy. Cap rate helps you compare properties very quickly, apples to apples. ROI tells you if that deal, even if it's spectacular, it might not fit your wallet or your goals, so you might have to pass on it anyway. There are also ROI boosters beyond the cash flow, so that when most people think of ROI, they just think, well, how much cash flow did I pocket after expenses? Okay, that's a novice investor. In real estate, you actually get 4 main wealth building benefits. One is your cash flow. That's your monthly leftover money after the rent that comes in covers mortgage, taxes, insurance, and all the other expenses. All right, so this one's an obvious one, right? Cash flow. Cool. But what about the loan pay down? That's the principal reduction. So every month, your tenants are essentially helping to pay down your mortgage balance. Not you. You're not paying the mortgage. They're paying it for you. How awesome is that? Even if you only break even on cash flow, you're still gaining equity because the loan is shrinking. That's awesome. Let's go ahead and use a different example. We're going to say a $300,000 house. Pretty cool. There's quite a few $300,000 actually. That's pretty high for our market. Here in Ocala, median is about $275,000. Sometimes even less. You can get brand new construction for under $300,000, but whatever. So let's say $300,000, your mortgage payment includes maybe $500 a month toward the principal since it's early years. Cool. That's still $6,000 a year quietly building your net worth. Well, there's also something called appreciation. Appreciation is property value growth. So over time, property values tend to rise. Historically, nationwide, appreciation averages like 3 to 4% per year. Some markets more, some less. Sometimes it's kind of extreme depending on if there's a global pandemic or something. But generally 3 to 4% per year. So if your $300,000 property appreciates at 4% a year, that's $12,000 in paper wealth gained annually. So it's not something like in your hand, but you're still gaining that equity. Okay. When you go to sell, that's when you really actually see it. There's also something for tax benefits. This is where Uncle Sam helps you out. I know everybody would like to have a little bit more tax benefits. All right. Let's say you can write off a portion of the property's value each year. This is called depreciation. Even though it's often going up in value, you still get to use depreciation. So you've got expense deductions, your interest, your repairs, property management, even travel to check the property may be deductible. Hello, that's awesome. This reduces your taxable income, which means you keep more money in your pocket, not just going out and about. All right, let's go ahead and add it all up. Let's use that same $300,000 rental. We're going to say there's $60,000 down. Cool. All right. Your cash flow is $9,000 per year. Your loan pay down is $6,000 a year. Your appreciation is $12,000 per year. And your tax savings, let's say, depending on your bracket, whatever, what expenses, all that, let's just say $3,000 a year. We'll be conservative. So your total wealth gained in year one is $30,000. Now, divide that by your $60,000 investment. So $30,000 divided by $60,000 equals 50% ROI when you count all four of the benefits. So even though the cap rate was only 8%, the true ROI, when you include everything financially included, is actually way higher. That's why real estate builds wealth so much faster than just sticking money in a savings account or stock dividends. That's why so many investors absolutely love real estate investing, no matter what market it is. When the market is down, they buy more. When the market is up, they sell. That's generally how it works. All right. So, quick property snapshot, all cash, cash on cash ROI, your actual returns from cash flow after financing. All right, total ROI, that actually means true wealth ROI. That equals cash flow plus loan pay down plus appreciation plus tax perks, whatever. That's when you see the magic sauce of your real estate, okay? Your tenants, the market, the tax code, they're all working together to make you richer, even while you sleep. They're paying 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, 365 days a year. You're receiving money and you're earning money and your property is appreciating while you sleep. How great is that? All right, so if you have any questions, please reach out to me. If you don't quite understand, you want to go over a few scenarios, also let me know. But hopefully you'll be able to explain all of that to one of your investors who decides that, hey, he'd love to put his property into management with us because we actually have a clue what we're talking about. Wait until we get into 1031 exchanges. Let me tell you, it's craziness. All right, talk to you guys later. Bye.